No, I know if you watch these recent videos with this background in my new room that I'm shooting these videos in, you hear what you think is a train. I have train tracks right outside my window, basically. So that's what you do hear. That's what you're hearing on occasion. And you'll probably hear a train very soon. They come by quite often, but I don't really hear them. The last house they put me in was right off the Northern State Parkway. That was much worse. That was much worse. And 3 o'clock in the morning, the traffic, and believe me, it's like a freight train running through your room. And the worst part about the Northern State Parkway was the motorcycles at 3 o'clock in the morning. It felt like there were like 20 of them going past at the same time. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, it was like, wow. You'd wake up out of a dead sleep to a Harley. Yeah. And the rice burners, they were even worse. But, I don't have that. I'm just explaining because I know you've heard it in my videos and you're like, what is that? Maybe you know what it is, but if you didn't, I'm telling you, it's a train. It's a Long Island Railroad. But they don't, thank God they don't honk their horn or anything around here. So it's just the sound of them moving on the tracks. And I don't even hear it at night. Most times during the day, I don't hear. When I play the video back to upload it, and I listen to all my videos before I upload them, I hear it. So, and that's it. But this video isn't about the train. It's about me and God have I don't know if you call it God. I call it God, and I call it Lucy. I think God's name is Lucy. But if you look on Arthur J. Godfrey at the letter J, Arthur J. Godfrey at x.com, was my old Twitter handle. There's things on there that explain the word God and what the word God means, and it's an acronym, God or Devil. That's what God stands for, God or Devil. And you'll see how I wrote it out over there, and if you go look. But anyway, but I teach God. You may think I'm arrogant or crazy. I'm crazy because I teach God. I do teach God just as much as God teaches me. It's a two-way street. He teaches me, I teach him. I have a perspective and he has a perspective. Or she has a perspective. I don't know. I try not to get into that, but she has a perspective on life, a perspective on the way of looking at the world, and I, of course, have my own. So she sees it, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't see it that way. I didn't think of it that way. Just because God is perfect doesn't mean God can't learn, and see something different, in a different way. It's been a long time since God had nothing, and in a big way, I have nothing, and God has everything, and that gives us two different perspectives. You're sitting there in your Mercedes-Benz or whatever, and you look at your car differently than if you ask the guy on the street that's asking you for $1. I'm sure he looks at your Mercedes-Benz in a much different way than you do. And maybe he wants to steal it from you. Maybe he wants to wash your window. I mean, there's all different things. And, but you have to be in that arena. You have to be poor to get the poor perspective. And you have to be rich to get the rich perspective and stuff like that. And I've lived in both worlds. I've been around very rich people. I grew up with very rich people. And I've seen the crackheads, and I've gone through Brooklyn, and seen people that lived in wheelchairs and had no legs, and some of them were the most beautiful people in the world, and they were crackheads, but they were great, and they helped me like you wouldn't believe, and I helped them as much as I could, it's all perspective, and I give God a new perspective, just like I give you. I'm giving you a new perspective. I'm helping you, and whether you want to believe it or not, you're helping me, and that's the relationship we have with everybody in this world and everything in this world, You help your dog, you help your cat, and your cat and dog helps you, So, you have a bird, the bird helps you, and you help the bird. So, that's why we got the bird in the first place, And I don't care if you got fish in a fish tank. You help the fish. You feed them, don't you? You keep the tank clean and viable. And the fish give you relaxation. They give you calmness because you watch the fish floating and swimming in the tank, and it calms your soul. It calms your nervous system, and it makes you calm. Fish are the most calming things you can have. That's why a lot of people have them, and they're beautiful. They're all beautiful. You have saltwater fish, they're beautiful. They're weird, some of them are weird, but that makes them beautiful, Go to a sculpture yard, some of that art is beautiful, but at the same time, some of it's very weird, So I wouldn't make that in a million years, but somebody did, and now it's made, and you're looking at it, you're like, I like it. I like what it does to me, so... But God doesn't get mad that I say I teach him. And he knows I do, and that's why I'm in the position I'm in. And you teach God too. Don't get me wrong. You teach God too. And God teaches you and puts you in my path so I can help you. I help God help you. I'm a tool. A lot of times I'm bait. Like I always said, I'm bait. I'm bait because I help God bring you to Him. When you come after me, you're coming after God. God's going to fix you for that. He's not going to hurt you. He's not going to kill you. He's going to fix you. He's going to make you look at the world differently. Like, wow, that's bait. I should have never went after that guy. I really regret that. But you'll be better off when the day is over. And that's the whole point. And you'll be better off. I'll be better off. I really feel like I have no enemies. I really do. You're not my enemy if you don't like me. You're your own enemy. You hate yourself. You don't hate me. You hate yourself. If you try to stab me or something like that because I bring out the fact that you hate yourself, you're still going to hate yourself when you get done stabbing me. And you're going to hate yourself even more because you don't realize that stabbing me didn't help you. It didn't make you hate yourself less. So don't stab me, because it's not going to work. I know some of you want to, but don't bother. Not going to work. And just because you hate yourself, I don't want to stab you. I don't want to hurt you. I want to help you. I want to help you first realize that you hate yourself. And then realize why you hate yourself. And then realize what you can do to not hate yourself. Because that's the goal. That's the enlightenment. That's the journey. The journey to enlightenment is to give up your demons, to let your demons go. If you have an enemy out there, or if you hate the government, or you hate the cops, or whoever you hate money, whatever. it's not that. It's not who you hate. It's not what you hate. You hate yourself. Maybe you hate yourself because you don't have any money. Maybe you hate the government because you don't have any control over your life and you feel that they do. You have to pay taxes and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with paying taxes. I mean, imagine this country if nobody paid taxes. I mean, the roads would suck for one, you know. What kind of car would you drive if there was no agency that inspected cars, you know, that the government pays for with your taxes, you know, stuff like that. So everything has a purpose, you know. And you've been taught from birth by your father, by your mother, that you hate paying taxes, you know, because they hated paying taxes. So they passed that on to you. And now you hate paying taxes. So April 15 is a bad day for a lot of people. And I know being an accountant and, you know, you get a lot of fights when you tell someone how much they owe on their taxes. You know, they're like, they don't want to hear that. They want to hear they're getting something back. You know, and even if they get something back, it's never enough. You know, it's like, I'm only getting that back. You know, never enough. But and if they owe, they're like, oh, what can I do to owe less? You know. And some accountants will actually fudge the books to make you owe less, and then you'll get audited, and you'll pay double, if not triple. So you can't get out of it. You owe what you owe, and just pay it and move on. You know. So yeah. Why didn't they take the tax money out of your paycheck? Because, well, put money in the furnace, put money in the fireplace, less money in your pocket, so you go to work tomorrow, you know. And what's this job stand for? Just over broke. And that's what you are. You're just over broke. And they make you come back Monday. They don't give you a year's salary when you start, you know, because you won't come back. You'll go to Florida or the islands and not come back, you know, until the money's gone. Then you'll come back and you'll be screwed. You know, they pay you enough to come back Monday. You know, after you get done doing Friday night and paying your bills and going out to happy hour, you're broke. You know, and you have to go back to work Monday, so you can go to Friday happy hour again. You know, but yeah, that's what life is. I don't try to lower your taxes. I don't want to put you in a different tax bracket. I want to change your perception of taxes and why you pay them and who you help with your taxes. You help yourself when you pay taxes. You don't help the bum on the street. You don't help the kid in the hospital. You help yourself. And you help yourself by creating a better society, a better world in which you live. You know, you're not in a bubble. You're not the boy in the bubble. You live in this world. And you want to drive on safe roads. You want safe cars on the road. You want potholes gone. You want the snow cleaned up when it snows. You want the lights on when you hit the switch. You want the computer to work when you hit the button. You want your phone to work. That's all coming out of taxes, you know. So, you know, your phone that you're on right now, or your iPad, was invented by tax money. Not Steve Jobs, but by tax money. Because all the technology that's in your phone that you're holding, and I'm holding right now, was done by universities and Bell Labs and private universities that got government money, grants and stuff to research GPS, research Bluetooth, you know, create Bluetooth, create a camera the size of a pin that's on your camera that I'm recording this video with right now. And the microphone the size of a pin that's getting my voice, and the earbuds that are in my ear right now were invented by government money. You know. So So yeah, you might have less money in your paycheck because you pay taxes, but you got something in your pocket because you pay taxes. You drive something because you pay taxes. You ate something because you pay taxes. Somebody else who can't pay taxes was able to eat. You know, so the whole symbiotic relationship. Everybody benefits from everybody's actions. You know, are there negatives? It's confirmation there. Are there negatives? Are there bad sides to it? Do people rob the government? Do people rob the tax dollars like the PPP and the pandemic? You know, if those were tax dollars, we wouldn't have a COVID vaccine. So many millions of people didn't die from COVID. You know, that was tax dollar money that saved all those people. Might have saved yourself. Might have saved me. But you know, how many years did they give out free shots? You just go to CVS or Walgreens and tell them your name and give me a license, and they gave you a shot. You know? So somebody had to pay for that. Not your tax money. You know. Well, don't complain. It's hard. Because you pay so much, and you don't feel like you get it back. And you pay a lot into Social Security. You might never see a dime if you don't live long enough. Or, they threaten to take it away, like they're taking away Medicaid. Soon they'll take away Medicare. You know. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know. You can't change it anyway. You can worry about it all you want, but you're not going to change it. You know. So, you know, the Democrats are responsible for Medicaid going away and for Obamacare going away, you know, just as much as the Republicans are. The Democrats had opportunities to make Obamacare permanent, and they didn't do it. They thought something else at the time was more important. So they're just as responsible as Trump. They made the door that Trump walked through. You know, and maybe they did it on purpose to make the Republicans look evil and cheap and bad, which they are. But so are the Democrats. They're evil, cheap, and bad too. Yeah. But that's a whole different relationship. It's a whole different video. You know, it's just, don't be mad at paying taxes. You don't see the benefit right away. It just comes out of your check, and you know, you don't pay MIT research department out of your taxes. You do, but it doesn't come from your tax bill to MIT. It goes to the U.S. government, who gives it to MIT, gives it to Harvard, gives it to other places where they do the research. And you know, all your medical advances, all your CyberKnife, it's all from taxpayer money, you know. So, and a lot of that's what Doge, Elon Musk attacked all that grant money, and they turned off all that grant money, you know. But for what reason? I don't know. But you know, when you're in that position of being the wealthiest man in the world, the last thing you want is competition. The last thing you want is somebody You know, you don't want number two to become number one over you. You know, so you're on top of the mountain, and you're pushing anybody down that's climbing to the top of the mountain. There's only room up there for one, and if you're up there, you don't want to be pushed down. You know, so by turning off the grant money, all the people that were climbing up the mountain had a more difficult time. It's just like throwing rocks at them and making them run down the mountain instead of going back up and knocking you off. You know, and that's why Musk was the man that did it, because he's on top of the mountain. You know. So, yeah, that's all that's about. And Musk won't be there for long. Somebody will take him over. You know, he almost lost Tesla because of it. And if he lost Tesla, he would have lost the entire mountain for himself. So that would have been it. That's why he quit Doge and went back to Tesla, because the PR wasn't helping his company. And people were putting his dealerships on fire, his cars on fire. And so that was the end of Doge. That was the end of Elon Musk. You know, so it started hitting his pocketbook, and he didn't like that. I can attack anybody I want, but don't attack me. And that's what the whole story's about. So, and I only bring up Elon because he's the richest man in the world, and he's a very famous rich person, and he's a bit of a dick. He's a bit of a dick, and he deserves the crap that he gets because he brings it on himself. You know, he's on Epstein's emails, so you can tell right there he's a dick. But I have no ill will towards him. You know, all that money in the world, there's a lot of things he can't buy. For one, peace of mind. He can't buy peace of mind. He's very restless. He probably does not sleep well at night. You probably sleep a lot better than Elon Musk does. You know, and if you have a wife that loves you and kids that love you, right there you have a lot more than Elon Musk has. So, don't be so envious. Don't be saying, I want what he has, because if you had what he has, you wouldn't want it. You know, I don't think Elon Musk wants it, But he grew up rich, and he always had money when he was young, and he doesn't know what you live. He doesn't know your life. He doesn't know how you live. He doesn't know what you have. No more than you know what he has, because you didn't grow up rich, so you don't know what he has. But I'm telling you, you don't want it. You don't want it. It's the carrot before the horse, and the horse never gets the carrot. So it's the carrot before the horse. And that's all it's about. So don't be a horse, and don't chase a carrot.